Have you ever felt like nothing really matters? That all our struggles, our achievements, our very existence is just a brief, insignificant flash in a vast, empty cosmos? If so, you've brushed up against one of philosophy's most daunting ideas, nihilism. So, what exactly is nihilism? The word comes from the Latin nihil, meaning nothing. At its core, it's the philosophy that life is without objective meaning, purpose, or intrinsic value. It is the belief that the universe doesn't come with a built-in instruction manual or a grand cosmic plan. We're just here, and then we're not. While the feeling might be timeless, the term nihilism really gained traction in the 19th century. The Russian novelist Ivan Turgenev popularized it in his book Fathers and Sons. But it was the German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche who dragged it into the philosophical spotlight. Nietzsche is famous for his dramatic declaration, "God is dead." Now, he wasn't making a literal, theological statement. What he meant was that the traditional foundations of Western morality and purpose primarily rooted in Christianity had lost their power and credibility in the modern, scientific world. The Enlightenment had chipped away at religious belief, and without that central pillar holding everything up, Nietzsche predicted a great crisis. He saw a period of profound disorientation, a long, dark night where humanity would be left adrift without a moral compass or a reason for being. This, for Nietzsche, was the dawn of nihilism. But nihilism, in just one single idea, it's more like a family of related, and rather gloomy, concepts. Let's break down some of its major forms. First, there is epistemological nihilism. This is the radical idea that knowledge is impossible. Proponents would argue that we can never be truly certain of anything, that our senses deceive us, and that all claims to truth are ultimately baseless. It's the ultimate form of skepticism, where the search for knowledge itself is seen as futile. Then there's metaphysical nihilism. This one is even more extreme. It's the philosophical position that nothing truly exists. It's not just that our reality might be an illusion, but that there might be no reality at all. This is a pretty rare and difficult position to maintain, because to even argue for it, you have to assume that you, your words, and the person you're arguing with exist in some capacity. It's a real philosophical brain twister. More common is moral nihilism, also known as ethical nihilism. This is the belief that there are no objective moral facts. Nothing is inherently right or wrong. When we say murder is wrong, a moral nihilist would argue that we're just expressing a personal feeling or a societal convention, not stating a universal truth. From this perspective, morality is just a human invention, a set of rules we've created to live together, but it has no real authority outside of our own agreement. But the form of nihilism that most people grapple with, the one that keeps us up at night, is existential nihilism. This is the one Nietzsche was most concerned with. It's the idea that human life has no inherent meaning or purpose. Our existence is just a cosmic accident, a brief, absurd flicker in an indifferent and silent universe. We are born without a reason, we live, we struggle, and then we die, and the universe doesn't notice or care. All our striving, our love, our pain, it ultimately amounts to nothing. This is the problem of nihilism. It's a heavy burden to carry. If life is truly meaningless, then why do anything? Why get out of bed in the morning? Why strive to be a good person? Why create art, or build relationships, or seek knowledge? It can lead to a profound sense of despair, apathy, and the feeling that no action is worth taking. It's a psychological abyss that can be paralyzing. But here's where things get interesting. For many of the world's greatest thinkers, nihilism wasn't the end of the conversation, it was the starting point. They saw this crisis of meaning not as a death sentence, but as a challenge of profound opportunity. This brings us to the great philosophical responses to nihilism, starting with existentialism. Thinkers like Jean-Paul Sartre and Simone de Beauvoir took the core of existential nihilism and flipped it on its head. Their famous mantra was "Existence precedes essence." What does that mean? It means we are born first, we exist, without any preordained purpose or essence. We are a blank slate. According to Sartre, we are condemned to be free. This sounds like a contradiction, but it's the heart of his philosophy. We are condemned because we didn't choose to be born into this freedom, but we are free because once we are here, we are entirely responsible for creating our own meaning and purpose through our choices and actions. For an existentialist, the lack of inherent meaning is a curse. It's a gift. It's the ultimate freedom to define who we are. You are the artist of your own life, and the universe is your blank canvas. Then there's Absurdism, a philosophy most famously articulated by Albert Camus. Camus agreed with the nihilists on one crucial point: the universe is indeed irrational and meaningless. He also agreed with our deep, human longing for meaning and clarity. The clash between our desire for meaning and the universe as silent refusal to provide it is what Camus called the absurd. So what do we do when faced with the absurd? Camus says we have three options. 1. We can give in to despair and take our own lives. He rejects this. 2. We can take a leap of faith, ignoring reason and believing in some higher power or purpose anyway. Camus, an atheist, also rejected this as philosophical suicide. This leaves the third option: rebellion. We must rebel by staring the absurd in the face and refusing to surrender to it. We must live in spite of the universe's meaninglessness. We embrace life with passion, we live with freedom, and we find our meaning not in some grand cosmic answer, but in the struggle itself. Camus uses the Greek myth of Sisyphus as his ultimate absurd hero. Sisyphus was condemned by the gods to forever push a boulder up a hill, only to have it roll back down each time he neared the top. It's a pointless, repetitive, and hopeless task. Yet, Camus asks us to imagine Sisyphus happy. Why? Because in that moment, when he walks back down the hill to start again, Sisyphus is conscious of his fate. He owns it, his struggle is his own. In that lucid rebellion against his pointless task, he finds his freedom and his purpose. His meaning is found in the act of pushing the boulder, not in ever reaching the top. And what about Nietzsche, the man who saw the storm of nihilism coming? He didn't just diagnose the problem, he proposed a solution. For Nietzsche, the death of old values was an opportunity for humanity to evolve. He envisioned the rise of a new kind of individual he called the Prominence, or the overman. The Prominence is someone who, after realizing that all the old, externally imposed values are dead, doesn't fall into despair. Instead, this person has the strength to overcome nihilism by creating their own values, forging their own purpose, and living according to their own self-created moral code. The Prominence is a creator, a master of their own destiny who says yes to life, with all its joy and suffering. They don't look for meaning, they build it. So, when we look back at nihilism, we see it has two faces. On one hand, it can be a terrifying and paralyzing realization that can lead to despair. The thought that our lives are ultimately insignificant is a heavy weight to bear. But on the other hand, it can be incredibly liberating. By clearing the board of all prepackaged, handed-down meanings, nihilism forces us to ask the most fundamental question: in a universe without inherent purpose, what will I choose to value? What meaning will I build for myself? It frees you from the pressure of having to live up to some preordained cosmic plan. Your life isn't a test you can fail. It's a story, and you are the author. The meaning of your life is whatever you choose to write. It's the love you share, the passions you pursue, the kindness you offer, the knowledge you seek, and the joy you find in the simple act of living. Ultimately, nihilism challenges us not to find meaning, but to create it. And perhaps that's the most meaningful purpose of all. Thanks for watching. If you found this exploration of nihilism interesting, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into philosophy and life's big questions. See you next time.